Hello, friends. After I completed the video yesterday, there was just like, oh, I kind of forgot a very important piece, but it would have been too long anyway. So I think it's nice to break it up in two parts. And just to recap from yesterday, here you go, you're done with the Matrix. You want to leave, you pack your bag, you go to the train station, you go on the gate or on the area where it says exiting the matrix, and then you need to find out where you want to go, right? Most people, they go like, I'm exiting, but they're not going anywhere. They're staying in the matrix, battling it, avoiding it, hating it, talking about it, um, doing all kind of moves, but they're still in the matrix because they have not chosen their destination where they want to go afterwards. So we looked at that, and sorry, I got our hair here. Um, so then I thought, okay, so they might have chosen the destination. You might have gotten on the right train. I want to go to a place where there's peace, where there is ease. Those are the ones I mentioned yesterday. Get on the train, sit down, it's like, ah. And then the important part is that I didn't mention yesterday. I have mentioned it before, but in this context, you sit down and then you just really need to go in here where you long for that peace, for the ease. And that is the fuel that will get the train moving. So again, if you just get on the train with the right destination and you just think you're going to get there, automatically, I doubt it. But, I don't know everything. But if you get on that train and then you start feeling like, I want peace, what does it feel like? What is this longing for peace? Let me go that direction. And that's kind of where the train is going now, right? So you left the matrix, here's the train, you got on it because you know you want this, but you need to keep moving that train into your heart, into the longing, into that feeling, that sweet feeling of like, oh, imagine living in peace. Imagine being in a world where people are kind to each other, where I am kind to others, where I am kind to myself. So it's not something that is just going to happen. Even though you said you left, you got on the train, there's still a lot more work to do. And actually, this is where we really need to start putting our energy over and over and over again and choosing to feel the destination. And this is, of course, something that is being taught, in, the law of attraction, manifestation courses. There's so much out there. It's quite amazing what is being offered to all of us. But it is not easy. It might be easy to get in a train and start moving, but then here's the trick. So you packed your bag, right? You brought your baggage. You brought the old contractions and neural pathways that you were used to in the matrix. So they're still there and they will try and pull you back into the matrix all the time, probably 24/7. So we need to start getting into a practice which eventually becomes 24/7 effortlessly. After a lot of efforting, it eventually becomes effortless because through all the efforting, the neural pathways, which are still wired to the false matrix, every time we go here instead of there, they kind of go apart. and you go, oh yeah, I want to go there. But in the beginning, as soon as we don't focus on this, by default, we go back to the neural pathways that are programmed to be in the matrix, or to be identified with the matrix. So you cannot just get in the train and say, ah, I'm out. Yay. No, your baggage is there. You can imagine it's this little bag you have with all these old neural pathways. And you might open it, you might just look for a book, and then it's just there. It could be, you might just sit down and then you think about, maybe some memories come up, some thoughts, some beliefs, some things that other people have told you about, you can't just leave, or whatever it is. I mean, it can be anything. This baggage is filled with neural pathways that are conditioned and programmed to the false matrix. So you've made a huge leap, and you can definitely congratulate yourself for that, for sure. But now you need to remember all the time, what is it that I want? What is it? Why did I want to leave the matrix? What is it that I want instead? And then as you start moving here, then all these old patterns and beliefs and memories and traumas, you are still conditioned and programmed, in your mind, in your brain, whatever. And that will stay there as long as you are allowing it, and as long as you are engaging with it, because it's the emotional attachments, right? That's what keeps us stuck in the false matrix. So, what do we do here? What do we do when this onslaught of old conditioning comes, and it goes like, oh my God, how am I going to make it? Where am I going to make money? Where's my next meal going to come from? All these things that have been there your whole life and have kept you there. The reason you didn't go to the longing in your heart was because the false matrix told you that that wouldn't work. You have to be part of this to survive. And remember, you have to be very, very afraid. And that's why these thoughts, it's like, when you think about a perfume or something, if somebody walks by you and you can still smell the perfume after they have passed you, you can see it as that it's kind of still a perfume, because we know you've left, and we also know that the false matrix is basically collapsing, but it's not all gone yet, mostly because we are still feeding it in whatever way we are, even though we think we have left it. So this is where there's this tenaciousness. That's what it has felt like for me. Like I shared with you the other day, about my cat and the fear, and how that whole thing actually made a full shift for me. And that's still with me. There was something that arose in me. And I was like, never again, never again, no more. I do not want to feed fear anymore. I do not want to let fear decide what I'm going to do or how I'm going to feel. And that's the tenaciousness or the power that we do need every time that these old programs come back, even though we're on the train towards here. We still have to move through the rough waters, we can call them. It's like, I've used this as a metaphor in my class called Say Yes to Yourself Without Guilt or Doubt. It's like you're here, you want to be there, and there's all this water, there's this whole ocean, let's say, between, and the waves are huge and they're rough. But you want to go here, but you have to go through all these challenges. And that's how it can feel inside, because this is an internal process. So we need to meet all these these high strong waves that want to push you right back to shore. right back to the false matrix. If we don't have what I call in the same online class is if we don't have a full tank, meaning if we don't 100% commit to what we want, our tank is not full and we're not going to make it. As we move, we need to keep refilling our tank with this longing and knowing what we want, and have a very clear sword to cut through what we don't want. You know what it is now, right? So, like when that fear arose in me with that cat, I was like, no. And it was so powerful. And there was an energetic shift that happened in me. And my cat showed up out of nowhere suddenly, right? So that's kind of the amount, that's the power we need. But we have that power because we are that power. The longing that we feel is who we are. And we don't want to live in the mind anymore. We want to live in our own presence, in our own sweetness and softness and kindness and love. So every time, and this is also about self-love, every time we are not honoring what matters to us, which is right, the new destination, every time we compromise that, we're feeding the old matrix again, and we get pulled back a little bit. So that's why in the beginning, it's a little bit like this, what is it? 2 steps forward and then maybe 3 back or something. And then eventually, you just keep moving forward. But it takes a lot in the beginning. It's a very good idea to get support, especially in the beginning, so you can start filling your tank. You need a full tank, and you need to know how to keep refilling it from inside, from your longing. So you keep going back to like, no, remember, what is it that I want? Oh, yeah, I want peace. Well, am I peaceful when I treat myself this way or when I engage in these thoughts? No. So that's where a lot of the work lies, that we can start disengaging from these old programmings. And the tricky part is always to not do it as a bypass. And that's not something I can just tell you in one sentence how to do that. That is part of the deeper work. You can do with me or with somebody else, but that's when you learn to be present in the experience of, let's say, this fear. And then you know what happens when you go to the core of these things, which I've done so many times. When I come to the core, I just have almost like a snap. It's like, oh, I don't want to do that anymore because I'm feeling it like 100% fully. I'm not distracting myself. So I can just I'm in this fear experience, and almost like at the bottom of it, then I have a choice. And that choice comes from such a deep place inside that it's fueled by your divine will, because it is the divine will pulling you back through all that sludge, through all that nonsense. Then you just let yourself feel it, and then you come to this place and you've just had enough. It's like, wow, now I can really feel what it is. It's so obvious, and we're done. And then your resolve comes from a much stronger place. And as soon as you feel that, your tank, whoosh, it fills up. And then you have this resolve, you have the power, you feel confident. It's almost joyful because you're like, yay, I want to really honor myself now and go with what is true for me. So that's a little bit about how you get on the train and you keep moving. Remember, you're moving here. You're moving to your deepest longing. And the deepest longing is your own divinity pulling you back home, pulling you back home from this dream or illusion that we've been living. It's pulling us. So let yourself be pulled in as often as you can remember. Put little sticky notes around your house to remind yourself in the beginning, because the default false matrix is running the show. So we need to make some effort to go this direction and not that direction. I would love for you, if you want to, you can join me. It's actually next week, June 3rd, the first Tuesday of each month. That's when I have my online gathering called Feel Your Deepest Longing. See, feel your deepest longing. Find your spiritual calling, because that's where you align with your divine will. And you can join that. The link will be in the description. And I would love to see you there. Then there is a smaller group of us who do it together, and we can start practicing and sharing about this deep longing that we all have, and just kind of realize, like, yeah, this is actually real. I'm not the only one. And it becomes much more alive, and it's lovely to share it with others. There's a good energy in that. So, that was just the continuation of the train, but now you're really on the train and you need to stay on the train and keep the engine running. And that can only happen by you fueling it with your longing.